loves, thanks for returning. I hope this video finds you happy and doing well. As you know by the thumbnail, this video is going to be on the Kosas Tinted Face Oil Foundation. So if you're interested, then just keep watching. All right, so let me just go ahead and throw this out there. I think that by far, out of all of the foundations that I have tried so far, that this one is probably the best suited for mature skin and even dry skin. This foundation does state that it's good for all skin types. However, I'm really not too sure about that. I do have combination skin, which means I get a little bit oily in my T-zone, and that's after hours and hours of wear. And the reason that I feel as though this foundation is best suited for mature skin is mainly because of the ingredients. For those of you all who have been following me for some time, you all know that I can be a stickler when it comes to the ingredients that are in foundations. And I honestly believe that if you're going to have a foundation or you're putting on that foundation day in and day out, it's good to have something that is going to help your skin over time as opposed to hurt it over time. This foundation is considered clean at Sephora, and if you look at the ingredients, it pretty much contains a few pigments and the rest are oils. Because this foundation does contain jojoba seed oil, which is really good for soothing and balancing the skin. It also contains red raspberry seed oil, which is really good for toning and supporting the natural reparative process, which is, you know, if you have mature skin, that's something good to have in a foundation. And it also has avocado oil in it, which is good for thoroughly hydrating the skin as well as cushioning the skin. I also like it for mature skin because it is considered lightweight, and it actually feels lightweight on the skin. Now, I will have timestamps below where I talk about how this foundation wore for me in the 8-hour mark. So hopefully you all will find that helpful. I also have 4 shades that I want to swatch for you all so you all can see how those shades look on my skin tone. But going back to other reasons why I think that this is a really great foundation for mature skin is because typically if you have more mature skin, you're looking for a foundation that is going to have you looking as natural as possible without that really cakey feel. And I feel as though a lot of foundations boast that, but very few actually come close to it. So those would be the main reasons why I feel as though this is great for mature skin. And for dry skin, I say that because this is a oil foundation and it's supposed to provide excellent hydration for the skin. Now again, I know when people think oil, they think that they need to run from it, but not necessarily. In fact, you'll even see during the clip where I was applying this foundation where I got a little nervous because of the way it felt. My idea toward that quickly changed once I just added a little of powder. I did read some reviews on Sephora where some people elected not to set this foundation, whereas some people did set it with a really finely milled setting powder. This foundation does come in 16 shades, but it claims that it can be worn across 48 skin tones. I'm not sure what that means. I guess that means that shades that are in between, it'll just kind of blend in to your skin tone or something or another, but I'm not sure what that means. You do get a very light coverage on this foundation. It does claim to be buildable to medium coverage. I only elected to put 1 layer for fear that if I put an additional layer, it would become too oily. So what you see here is just 1 layer and a light set with a loose setting powder by Black Radiance. It does boast to have a silky clean formula. This brand is also vegan, it's cruelty free, and it's gluten free. And I know that that's very important to a lot of people out there. One thing that you do have to be careful with your skincare or your primers is to not use any skincare or primers that contain silicone, because that ingredient can cause peeling with this foundation. It also says that you need to exfoliate really well before using this foundation, so just remember to do that before application. I did find that this foundation played really well with the Milani concealer, with the powder that I used. I actually used 2 powders. Under my eyes to set the concealer, I used the CoverGirl Loose Translucent Powder in shade 115, and for an all over light set, I used used, again, the Black Radiance Loose Setting Powder. And I've had no cracking, no peeling or anything. Again, at the end, please check out the clip where I will show you how the foundation is looking at the 8-hour mark. What you're seeing now is how it looks after about 2.5 hours or so. Again, try not to be intimidated about the fact that it is a tinted oil foundation, because it really is a beautiful foundation, and I think that it looks even better in person. A lot of times you'll hear me say where foundations, they look good on camera, but then when you see when you see it in person, it looks the opposite. I think now the tables have turned. You know, I think that in person, this foundation looks better than at least what I'm seeing on my monitor. And the pictures are really pretty. And even though it only comes in 16 shades, I am extremely happy with the shade 8.2. I think that's what shade that I have. I'm really happy with this shade. I think that it looks really good with my skin tone. So it does say that you have to apply it with your fingers, and I find that that's just too messy, especially if you have any type of nails. Fingers just aren't going to work. I just couldn't do it because I don't like for a foundation and makeup to get in my nails, so that's really not an option. You must make sure that you shake this foundation very well, and so that the pigments and the oils can emulsify and just really mix well, so your application will go on flawlessly. So this foundation does have a scent, but it's not a fragrant, like perfumey type of scent. Oh yeah, I meant to tell you all, as far as my skincare, I just did my normal skincare, no primers, but for you all who watch me on the regular, you all know that I just stick with the normal skincare. I don't use primers and all of that. So let's just get into the next clip. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to start off by swatching on this side. And since the foundation is so fluid, it's very thin. In fact, in the actual bottle, it's like a little ball or something to help shake up the foundation. So I'm just going to use Q-tips to swatch on this side, and I am going to start with the deepest shade first, which would be number 10. And the next shade is 9.5. The next shade is number 9. And the last shade, which is the shade that I was matched at Sephora, is 8.2. For this application, on one side, I'm going to do like I always do. I have my Sephora Pro number 56 brush and my sponge on this side. So I'm going to start off here and start applying. Now, one thing that I can say is that I think that this is a really good match. It is very messy. I'm just a messy person today, but because it's so fluid-like, it just kind of spills everywhere, or at least the sample that I have. So I do smell something. It must be all of the oils that's in here that I'm smelling, because it's nothing like a fragrant type of smell. Look at that, my brush is all dirty. I mean, everything. I'm getting this foundation everywhere. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I am afraid to go in with a second coat because it does feel like oil. It feels like I've just applied a thin layer of oil on my skin, but I don't know. I feel like the coverage with the brush is minimal because I have this pesky little acne scarring that I've been tackling for the longest. So as you can see, it's right there. Now, one thing that I do like about it is that I think that this is a really good shade match. So I think I'm just going to play it safe, and yeah, because this literally feels like oil is on my face. I'm going to go in and apply the other side, but I'm going to use a sponge. All right, so here we go. This side I use the sponge, and of course this side I use the brush. I do normally I would try to go in with a second layer just to see if it's buildable, but I just think that if I go in with a second layer, it will be too oily. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and set this because there's no way, and I'm not even an oily person. I get a little oily right up in here, maybe in my T-zone right here and a little bit on my forehead, but everywhere else is normal. But this is a foundation that definitely needs to be set, and I just put a thin layer. So let me go ahead and set this and I'll be back. All right, this is it. I'm back with the completed look, and I have to say I am so shocked. I honestly thought that this foundation was going to do something a little bit different because of how oily it felt when I applied the foundation. But I just did a light set with my black Radiance loose setting powder. It feels very skin-like. It feels like I don't have anything on. It doesn't feel tight. It feels comfortable. Let me go ahead and come up close so you all can see what it's looking like. And that oily feeling that I had right after I applied the foundation, of course, I don't feel that at all anymore. In fact, it almost feels as though it could be a matte foundation. And I say that only because of how it looks, not how it feels, but how it looks. And I'm actually shocked because of, again, how it felt once I applied it. This foundation is really pretty. Let me know down in the comments if this seems like something you would be interested in trying. Let me know if you've tried it down in the comments, and if you've tried it, let me know how you liked it. So that pretty much concludes this video. I really appreciate you all tuning in, and until my next video, smooches. All right, so here I am with the check-in, and I think for the most part of it, the foundation did really well. I did get a little bit of wear right in here on my nose. Now, I do have to tell you that this was pretty much an uneventful day. I pretty much stayed at home and went to pick up my kids, and that consisted of, let's see, 2 trips back and back to the school and back home again. So those were the only times that I really left the house, but overall, I still really do enjoy it. If you have oily skin, you can go ahead and lightly set this foundation. If you have dry skin, I would say just to really skip it if your skin is just really, really, really dry. I'm just not getting oily with this foundation, and I still think that it is really pretty. Let me come in closer so you can get a better look or how it's looking on my skin. So as you can see, it did break up a little bit around the nose area, and I do have a little bit of creasing right up in here, but for the most part of it, I think that it has worn pretty well. So let me know what you think about this foundation down in the comments. I love it. If you're on the fence about it, definitely get a sample. You all know that Sephora is really good at that. The only thing that I wish is that it did have a little bit more shades, because 16 is really not enough. I think that this particular shade is a spot on for me when I take pictures with the flash. I don't get that weird type of discoloration. In person, out in the sunlight, it does look to be just a little bit deeper than my chest, but that's no problem. So anyway, this is my little wear test. So let me know what you all think down in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until my next video, smooches.